Hi, this is Chaz at Snakes and Adders. Just going to do a video about bearded dragons. We've changed our policy at Snakes and Adders to reflect the overproduction and overbreeding of bearded dragons. This is a serious issue. They're being produced by people that don't necessarily expect or want them. Maybe they get caught out. They're sold an unsexed pair from a shop, or they inherit a pair and they're not told of the dangers. Maybe they've not researched it, and fast forward 5-6 weeks, they're sat on 24-25 eggs. They work out how to incubate them, they hatch the eggs out. This is where the problem starts. Where do you intend to get shut of the babies you've just produced? And stop and think for a moment. There's going to be another 4 or 5 litters this season produced by that same female. 100 eggs, 110 eggs. And that can be from a single breeding. So even if you realise and you split them, if the male's inseminated the female, she can store that sperm. So this is, something that can have a real knock-on effect. The issue is that more and more people are producing the bearded dragons, and the price has been degraded to a point that's almost ridiculous, where the normal beardies are being swapped for a pack of fags or a pint down the pub, or 3 for a tenner, or just take them. When you devalue an animal to that extent, how is anybody supposed to convince you that to keep this animal correctly, you're going to have to part with the better part of £250, £300 for a 4-foot viv, thermostat, UV lights, all the correct equipment to go inside it? No one's going to pay it. Especially people that feel that, well, I've only paid a £5 for the lizard, or I've got given it, so why am I going to spend that much money? This is becoming a huge problem. Rescue centres are absolutely inundated with bearded dragons. Back in the 80s, it was turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the craze, terrapins. They took over. They're in canals, they're in rivers. The knock-on effects are still being felt now. Even the FBH created some turtle sanctuary far up north, may have even been Scotland, where all these turtles that were due, that had been dumped on rescue centres could go. So this is an issue that's still being felt today. In the 90s, we had the green iguanas, massive craze, 6-foot lizard. They're cute as a puppy when they're 30 centimetres long, but they get 6 foot long. They can be irascible. They respond to a female's menstrual cycle, so they're trying to dive through the glass whenever the lady is having a period. There's all sorts of issues with the iguanas as well. But the bearded dragons are they're almost innocuous. They're a 2-foot lizard. They're lovely and tame. They're great for being handled. They make one of the best pet lizards going. But the issue is that they reproduce so easily and in such numbers that now we've reached a point where privately there is an oversaturation. I've heard a counter-argument that the wholesalers have got this massive shortage. I don't believe it for a second, So at Snakes and Adders we only sell the higher end beardies, the beardies that have been bred as morphs and require a higher value. Therefore, the argument stands that if somebody is going to pay 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds for a bearded dragon, that they will be less reticent to part with the money required to keep the animal correctly. If we had normal bearded dragons in, this was becoming more and more of an issue, coupled with the fact that some of our competitors unfortunately don't use thermostats or other such issues, and there you go, our problem's almost made impossible, and it's a mountain that we just got fed up with trying to climb. So, if you keep bearded dragons, think carefully about, especially if you've got a pet, what is it you're going to do with these babies? Where are they going to go? Have you got the correct plans in place to deal with these babies? Do you have somewhere for your female to convalesce once she's had those eggs? She will be parting with 30% of her body weight to produce these 30 eggs. The male isn't going to wait and say please before he mounts her again and forcefully has sex with her. He's just going to do as he wishes. And immediately she will be pregnant again. And she'll immediately start drawing from her own body supplies and bone to produce yet more eggs. So this is a cruel cycle for the female, where they can be bred to death and just be left like a bag of bones. So you really need to think about this. You need to have the systems in place. And even to ethically breed bearded dragons, you need 3 rigs. Complete rigs, not partial rigs, with all the gear. You need 1 for the male, 1 for the female to convalesce, and 1 for a litter of babies. But even then, the babies will need splitting. because certain ones will grow quicker than others. The dominant animals will take charge. If you don't stay on top of the food, what you will end up with is tailless and footless baby bearded dragons, which are going to be almost impossible to move and get shut off, which you'll be stuck with, which further compounds things, because in 6 weeks you're going to have another litter of eggs which have hatched out, and now you've got footless and tailless dominant babies that were the runts from the previous litter kicking the crap out of the new babies. You know, don't get into the cycle. If you're going to keep a beardie, keep it as a pet. They're the best pets going. They're fantastic. They respond well to kids. They're full of personality. And I would never knock anybody for keeping a bearded dragon as a pet. But as policy here, we now keep them singly. We will only sell them to a tank where it is going to be kept singly. We will not encourage breeding of any kind. And that's just our stance, to try and do our little bit to help. I realise this might be a long-winded video. Hopefully it was worth the time to watch. We're trying to be a positive shop. We're trying to have a positive influence on herpiculture in the UK. We have our critics, we always do. You know, everybody's got an opinion, they're like arseholes in that regard. But, you know, we're just trying to do the best that we can, trying to do our little bit. So if you like the video, by all means share it or comment, and visit the website www.snakesandadders.co.uk.